new Civilian Review Board. I have a little anecdote there that I'm going to share, and I'll share it now very briefly. There's an officer who spoke to someone who made a complaint. I don't know who that someone is. It ended up before this Civilian Review Board, but here's the gist of it. So the officer speaks to the person and says, let me tell you why what has happened here is illegal. I'll show you the law, the context. So in the aftermath, the person feels that they were spoken to in a condescending manner, that the officer was rude. It goes to internal affairs. They clear the officer. The officer's sergeant says he did nothing wrong. The new Civilian Review Board said, we find his demeanor insulting and rude. So let me say this, and it's for the record. Should this Civilian Review Board do what I suspect it's going to do, it will literally shut down policing in Dallas, Texas. Okay? It will shut it down. And I want you to know something. I've got a couple opportunities to go into South Dallas. I've gotten invitations because my narrative has to be heard by black and brown as well. It's a very difficult narrative to be had. I have to cite Chief Terrence Cunningham, the chief of the International Police Officers Association back in 2016. We have a lot of dirty laundry, but it doesn't mean you jettison the profession to repair it, to fix it, to speak to it. We need to sit down and have these conversations because as we sit here, I think some people in this room will say, Nick, I can agree with that we're losing our culture. We are a people who are in rebellion before a holy God. And if we don't stand and speak collectively, then individually we go home and look in the mirror and you have to feel some sense of, I'm not doing my part. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to go into a conversation with a number of people who are Black Lives Matter leaders. These conversations have to be had, and I'm grateful to Mr. Roberts that he has them. And I know he'd engage anyone who calls him. But we have to have these conversations because the slippage in where we are culturally will be materially felt very shortly by everyone in the Metroplex.
Yeah, she said it earlier, socialism. Socialism's a great idea until you run out of somebody else's money. Bottom line, it's never worked anywhere on this little blue-green marble bouncing around the sun. Never. We always hear the left say, well, what about Scandinavia? What about it? You want 80% tax rate? I mean, well, I don't want to do a talk show, but the bottom line is exactly what Nick is saying. It's exactly what Nick is saying. The city's budget plan impacts on the police and the fire department. It's been catastrophic. And it's only going to get worse unless the people that are supposed to be served, that are obligated to be served, stand up in support of first responders.